Eric Trump was interviewed by Candace Owens, where he talks about who he may want to meet. It's one of those generic general questions you may want to ask someone to see what type of person they are. So Candace did find out, who does Eric Trump want to meet? Watch.
Have dinner with anybody dead or alive. You can't say Trump. You can't, well, you are Trump, but you can't say your father. I've already had dinner with him plenty of times.
How about Jesus?
Jesus, that's a good answer.
That'd be a good one, right?
What would you ask him?
Oh God, did you envision this happening to the United States of America? And did you ever envision a person as incompetent as Joe Biden running the United States of America? How in the world did this happen? Honestly, I might ask him if this is actually a ploy to show people the difference between Republican leadership and Democratic leadership. Like, you see this dichotomy between two people, and that's stark contrast. Does that actually help educate kind of the United States? And I think it really might. Like, listen, I'm a guy who believes that the election was just absolutely stolen. I do. I was out there every single day speaking in front of 1,000 people 5 times a day as a guy who, does not want the political mantle, as we were talking about before. And I'd be speaking a half a mile away from Joe Biden, who would have 30 people sitting in bubbles that he couldn't fill.
In cars, you mean?
They were singing cars honking. They were singing cars honking, right? He would have Bon Jovi up on stage and they would have 30 people, yet the guy who wants nothing to do with politics, who's just representing somebody that they love tremendously, has thousands of people showing up for them multiple times a day.
What a waste of dinner with Jesus. Hey, how about this American politics in this election that we lost, Jesus? I think Jesus would stand up and turn your wine back to water and leave. So anyways, so he, of course, goes on to these exaggerated talking points from the right because that's what Jesus would like to hear about. Let's see him continue.
You have Donald Trump, who had just 4 years of, despite everything they tried to do to destroy him. Again, greatest unemployment, manufacturing was coming back to this country, a stability in the Middle East, the likes of which we'd never seen before. And you just go through all the accomplishments. And then in about 3 weeks, this guy comes in and you've got, gas prices double and you have inflation absolutely through the roof. And you have the loss of civil liberties. You have crime going through the roof. You've got Christmas presents that can't be delivered because literally store shelves are empty because you have boat after boat after boat ship, 200 miles off the coast of LA. They've moved them out because they didn't want to be embarrassed how many ships are sitting out there waiting to try and unload their goods.
I think anyone can recite these talking points by now, fam, because it's the same thing over and over and over and over again, except we need a new hook to come in, Jesus. Yeah. Now let's talk about everything else when it comes to the Joe Biden administration and America's issues. What would Jesus think when Trump was in office? What would he be thinking about that?
He'd probably be thinking, oh goodness, I should have come back a lot sooner and gone ahead and done the rapture then. But no, I think if Eric Trump actually did somehow manage to sit down for a dinner with Jesus, he would probably want to talk to Jesus about, listen, hey, I don't think you're capitalizing enough on your name here. I think there is a big profit motive that we're missing, and we can start marketing this to everybody. But I love also how Candace kind of preempted, like, oh, you can't say your dad. Because I'm sure Eric would love nothing more than to actually have a real sit down dinner with daddy, who I don't know if he sees him ever. He's always talking about Ivanka. She moved down to South Florida. He's talking about Don Jr., but poor little Eric is always left out. The middle child, I'm sure he would love to actually sit down with his father. But again, it's such an easy cop out for Republicans, Oh, I'd sit with Jesus. Jesus would love Republicans because I've never read the Bible, and he would hate the Democrats. Jesus would be angry about the supply chain, but I mean, these are all so ridiculous, but Republicans eat it up.
Yep.
Jesus is such a good excuse for them because you can't argue with Jesus and you can't accuse somebody of not loving Jesus after they say something. It's so stupid, but it's also so simple and smart that it's the best cop out they could ever come up with.